kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. For me, there's two things: there's influence and there's impact. And influence is the number of people you reach, and impact is the depth to with which you reach them. And I've always had a heart more for that impact level of saying, I would rather have deep relationships with the people that I'm trying to minister and care for. I've a heart for, I want to know every person who goes to our church. I want to know their kids' names. I want to know, where they live and their background, how they grew up, because for me, again, I know many men who can pastor huge churches and it works out great for them. For me personally, it just gives me a depth of understanding when I'm trying to minister to them, help them. If it's a smaller congregation, and if the Lord grows it, then I'm sure he'll equip us just fine to do whatever he calls us to do.
Yeah. And I love that influence versus impact. And a lot of times, especially in our culture, we're all about influence. That term influencer is out there, and we try to gain as many followers, as many people watching us as possible so we can try to influence them. But you talked about impact is, you might be on the other end. Instead of having, let's just say, 100,000 followers, right, you might want 10,000 that you really can truly impact, and smaller numbers even that, right? So
yeah, and a good example of that, like we were doing in more on the business side of things, we were doing some product rollouts for a client, and they were rolling out a new product, and we reached out to a wide range of influencers, people who had 1 million followers, and then we reached out to other people who had about 5,000 followers. And what we found in our research and in doing it is the percentage of people who would buy from a 5,000 follower person who had a deeper relationship with their followers was dramatically higher than somebody who had 1 million followers, but those people weren't nearly as tied into them. And so again, it's that difference. And I think so often we get so consumed with what I call, when I sit with my clients, they get so consumed with the vanity metrics of how many followers do you have, and how many likes do you have, and how many comments do you have, and all those things are valuable pieces of information, but they don't tell the whole story. And what we have to be able to step back and say is, look, if I can impact 50 people versus somebody who can just simply influence 5,000 people, which one is more valuable? And I think it comes back to, specifically as a husband or as a father, is I'm not very interested in influencing my wife and my kids. I want to impact their life. I want to have a depth of relationship there. And then it's moving into, now, how does that translate to the people that are around me and the people in my life?
Yeah, exactly. It kind of reminds me of someone who's trying to look really healthy or look really skinny, but they just don't eat. So they look maybe skinny on the outside, but on the inside, they're just extremely not healthy.
Absolutely.
So if you had to make a choice and you said, hey, I'm going to, do this national business, this national and build that, or, continue on your local church, your purposeful life, which one?
Yeah. To be honest, I choose relationships that don't make me choose. And that's kind of my answer to that is I don't put myself into business relationships where I'm forced to choose. I've always been pressed with that. And I've always had people push me on that and say, boy, if the church grows, you'd have to quit the business things. And if the business thing grows, you'd have to quit the church thing. Right. And I just look at it as, God has given me an opportunity to do these things, and God has placed me in this role and where he's put me. And so I sat with a young man a while back, and it was the same thing as he's kind of being pulled in two different directions. And I kind of told him, look, why do you have to choose? Just do all of it, do it all. Why does it have to? And you'd see it in the schedule of my day. My day blends from business to ministry, and there's really no lines. I don't have set church office hours, and I don't really have set business hours. They flow together. I'll literally go straight from a business meeting to a hospital visit. And to me, that's the life God's given me. It's not for everyone. I don't know that I don't know if people would enjoy it. But for me, it works. If I start working with somebody, and a lot of the clients I work with and the people that I'm familiar with, if they want to push me into businesses that require me to be away on Sundays, I tell them no. I've pastored for 8.5 years, and I've missed 2 Sundays, and neither of them were business related. So I don't put myself in those situations. I have found that people, they respect the one side of it, and because of the person that makes me, I'm able to do it on the other side as well. And I find my church people find a lot of encouragement in knowing that just like them, I'm going to have to get up on Monday morning and I'm going to have to go to work and I'm going to have to do my job and I'm going to have to be a good businessman. And I tell people this all the time. I counsel far more people who will never step inside the doors of my church, but are business relationships that I have and people that I do business with, and I get to minister to them outside the walls of the church. So I don't even keep attendance on Sunday mornings, to be honest with you, because I don't view ministry as a one day thing.
Yeah. Did you, I find a lot of entrepreneurs have a hard time saying no. I know for me, it's been, one gentleman told me this, I've been kind of struggling with saying no. And so he said, basically you have to say no so you can say yes to the good things. Right. And,
Yeah.
and you've developed that very well. So do you find that a lot of entrepreneurs have a hard time saying no, and then they just see things crumble? And you obviously have a ministry, and you're expected to be there, but it could be your family, it could be your kid's baseball game. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't see, to me, it's you don't ever know what the other path was going to be. And so I don't know that you can always play Monday morning quarterback and look back and say, boy, if I would have done this instead. I mean, I look back in my life and I see places where it's like, man, I could have been much farther ahead in my ministry. I could have had a much larger church. I could have had all of these things. And I look at my business side of things. And, even in the past year, opportunities, and I look at them and say, boy, I turned that down. And what did that cost me? It required me to move, or it required me to do something else. And, I turned that down, and I wonder what that cost me. And at the end of the day, you just have to be able to lay your head to the pillow at night and know that you made the best choice you could.
Yeah.
You had the information at hand. You walked, as a Christian, I walked by faith. I trusted that, God had a plan in it, and he wouldn't have put these things here if that wasn't his plan. And I don't play a lot of the regret game.
Yeah.
I don't look back and wish that I've chosen another path. I have the path I have. I have an amazing wife. I got 2 amazing kids. I have an awesome life. I have amazing people around me. I have a very small circle of people that, that I spend my time with, and I love spending time with them. And it is what it is. Again, did I make the perfect decisions? Probably not. there was probably something that I could have chosen better, but I really don't spend any time on it. I try to keep the eyes pretty much forward, because I made as purposeful as a decision as I could.
Yeah. Amen. Do you think that there's seasons of purpose? Like, someone in their 20s or 30s, their purpose at that time might look a little bit different than they're in their 40s or their 50s later in life.
Absolutely.
Or someone with a young family might have a different season of purpose versus one that has teenagers, for example.
Yeah, to me, and again, it goes a little bit to the chaotic nature of the life that I have. To me, it's there is no such thing as balance per se. My wife's Instagram and like her theme for her life is just embracing imbalance. And that's our life, is being able to look at it and say, you know what, this week we might have to work 60, 70, 80 hours. And next week we're going to take 3 days off.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect vacuum of it. We're going to do an event and we're going to work, probably 15, 16-hour days for about 3 days straight. And then we're going to get done with that, and we're going to go to Disney World for 3 days. In the middle of a week, which a normal person with a normal job, if I was a normal pastor with a normal ministry, I would not be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But there will also be seasons where, like during the pandemic recently, we at that time lived at the church, and we spent 3 months remodeling our entire church.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working at the church for 12 hours a day, every day. We invested a large amount of money, of our own money, into, making the church beautiful. And then there will be times and seasons where I won't be able to invest that much time. But to me, it's just, it's being mindful of what people need at that moment.
Exactly.
It comes back to me of that selflessness versus that selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
That if it's about you, then yes, balance feels great. And we all love the idea of feeling balanced in our life. But that doesn't really work when you're trying to help people.
Yeah.
If you're trying to help others, you can't fit them into the neat little boxes of your balances. I mean, there
Yeah.
will be the times where the phone rings and you have to go to the hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And there will be other times where nobody will call you for 2 weeks and you're fine and everything is good. So I don't really see it as balance.
Exactly. I mean, I've been kind of going through that season too, where I have young kids at my house. I just recently stepped
Hmm.
out of the business more and had all these things kind of piling up. And I wanted to do some speaking and travel and do some things like that. But then again, I have a very young family, so I've decided, hey, I still want to create. I still want to do some cool things and have some interesting conversations like this. But
Hmm.
I need to do it that's going to include my family. I can do it from the comforts of my home. We just had my kids
Hmm.
come down here a minute ago, and
Yeah.
that's just my
It's
season right
awesome.
now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for checking out the Brett Snodgrass channel. If you like this video, please slam on that like button. And if you really like it, then subscribe to our channel here. And remember to leave us a comment below, and I'm going to try my hardest to reply to all the comments. Thank you guys so much. This is why I do what I do. Every single week, I come out with content that focuses on success, freedom, and living out your purpose. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.